Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeffrey Clark, and if you're thinking about moving to St. Petersburg, Florida, you're in the right place. In this video, we're gonna talk over 7 things that you need to know before you move to St. Petersburg. So stick around to the end, make sure you see all 7. Some of them I think are things that people should talk about more but don't, so hopefully that's valuable to you. If you do have any additional questions, I do run one of the top real estate teams here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I am broker owner of Clark Realty. We can answer any questions you have, so comment them down below, or my phone number and email is in the description in case you wanna call, text, or email. Whatever works for you works for me. Let's get into it. So the first thing to be aware of is the cost of living in St. Petersburg. And the cost of living here is not crazy, but it is higher than some other markets. Sometimes when people move here from other cities, we hear them commenting on things like gas price or food prices. Definitely not as crazy as some other Florida cities like Miami, Tampa, or Orlando, but it's something to consider. A quick story that might illustrate this point is now my girlfriend and I order all of our grocery meats for the month through ButcherBox. It just gets it shipped to our door. This is not sponsored, it's just what we do now. But before that, we had switched from getting all of our groceries at Publix to getting some of our stuff from Aldi. And when we made that switch, what we noticed is the big packs of chicken that we're getting from Publix, we could get for like half off at Aldi. Maybe not half off, but close to it. And what I remember vividly, because it was a kind of a reality check for me, is when we found this out and we started shopping at Aldi, we were on the phone with my girlfriend's mom one day, telling her about it, like, oh, we saved so much. We found, a couple pounds of chicken for X dollar amount. And her mom, who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, went, how much? And was shocked. And it turns out her fee for, her cost for a couple pounds of chicken was half of even what we were paying at our half of what we were paying at Publix. And so she was just astounded at what our grocery bill was. And here we were thinking that we were, being frugal, pinching pennies and finding some savings. So this just to illustrate the point that if you're coming from some of these other markets, you should probably do a check to see what your cost of living in your city is compared to St. Petersburg, and maybe expect an increase in your grocery bill or things like gas. I notice when I go up to North Carolina that gas here is oftentimes 50 cents more expensive per gallon than it is up there, which is a significant amount. So something for you to be aware of. When it comes to housing, our median house here is in like the mid 4s. Obviously you can find things for less than that. You can find things for much more than that. If you're curious what your dream home would cost here in St. Petersburg, just comment down below what your dream house would be, and we'll run a quick search and tell you kind of the ballpark of prices that you could expect. But again, it's not crazy. It's not like Miami prices, but St. Pete definitely has seen some pretty steady appreciation in the last few years, just because we're a peninsula, so there's not a lot of land to develop here, and it's become a very desirable place to live. So homes have seen great appreciation. If you have questions, obviously reach out, we're happy to help. The second thing for you to be aware of is traffic and commuting times. And while St. Petersburg is not nearly as bad as some of the horror story cities you hear for like, cities in California, I actually went to California this year and was shocked at how bad the traffic was. So while it's not that bad, it's still a consideration here in St. Petersburg. Again, we're a peninsula. There's not a lot here. So when our city is full, it feels full. If you're just commuting within the peninsula, you're not going to feel the worst effects of this. But if you were doing what a lot of people consider doing, which is living in St. Pete and then working in Tampa or vice versa, it's definitely a consideration for you because you're going to be crossing over our major bridges, especially if you're on like a 9 to 5 at peak rush hour, and that you will be dealing with a lot of traffic. And all it takes is one fender bender on those roads and you can add 40 minutes to your commute right there. It shuts down the whole bridge. It's not a situation that you'd like to be in. Now, I personally, it takes me less than 10 minutes to get to the office. I have a grocery store 2 minutes from my house. I am not a fan of traffic, so I've tried to build a life where that's not going to be an issue for me. And so if you want recommendations on places to be, or, based off of where maybe you're working, considerations to that regard, like a more nuanced take for your specific situation, we can help with that. But just be aware, especially in winter bird months, when all the snowbird months, when all the snowbirds come into town, you can expect commutes to go up as well then. Just something to consider, especially if you're coming from a more rural market where traffic's not a big deal. It is a deal here and something to be thought about. The third thing for you to be aware of is the weather. And if I had to describe the weather in St. Pete in one word, it would be sunny. St. Pete averages 361 days of sunlight every year. And yes, that's 4 days less than every day in the year. And St. Pete actually has the Guinness World Record for the most consecutive days of sunshine. I forget the number, but it was 700 plus consecutive days of sunshine. And so for me, I'm an outdoorsy person. I love to kayak. My office is 2 minutes from the pier, so I love to walk down to the pier when I need to take a break and soak up the sunshine. But I know that that's not the same for everybody. And so if you're someone who doesn't like a lot of sunlight or isn't great with hot temperatures, it's just something for you to consider to determine whether or not it's going to be worth it for you or tolerable for you to move here. Especially in the summer months, it does get pretty warm. Another kind of sub consideration while we're talking about weather is in the same way that the West Coast has to worry about earthquakes or fires, or the Northeast might have to worry about blizzards. Here in Florida, we do have to worry about hurricanes. So come hurricane season, everybody in St. Pete monitors everything that's going on. This year, unfortunately, we did get hit with a couple of back-to-back storms. It was the first time in over 100 years that St. Pete experienced a direct hit. Thankfully, we're pretty much back to normal now. Unfortunately, there are still some homes that are undergoing renovations due to flooding, but that's something that we can guide you through. There's areas of St. Pete that are in flood zones. There's most of St. Pete's not in a flood zone. If you want to live on the water or in a coastal area, obviously that's more of a concern for you. Otherwise, it's just something you'll have to monitor. Make sure that during hurricane season, you have, you're stocked up on flashlights and batteries and candles, those kind of things in case power goes out for a day or two. The fourth thing for you to be aware of before you move to St. Pete is quickly becoming into a foodie city. And this is kind of a double-edged sword for me. I generally am a pretty frugal guy and I enjoy home-cooked food, usually more than restaurants. At least that's how I used to think and feel about myself. But it seems like every other week, a new restaurant's opening up in St. Petersburg, and it's just amazing food to die for. I'll list a couple of my favorites. There's a new restaurant called Wild Child that has these delicious scallops. There's a gorgeous cafe called Cafe Clementine that's in our Museum of Art here down by the pier that makes these beautiful pastries. And so if you're moving to St. Pete and you're a foodie, definitely gonna be a good spot for you. If it's not a consideration for you, then you can just ignore this point entirely. But it's something I wanted to share because it's something that I personally love about St. Petersburg. The fifth thing to know about St. Pete before you move here is beaches, beaches, beaches. Pretty much anywhere in St. Pete. I know I've mentioned a few times we're a peninsula, so that means completely surrounding St. Petersburg, Clearwater are just amazing, beautiful beaches. And they're not just great beaches, they're widely and often recognized as some of the best beaches, if not the best beaches in the country. Clearwater and St. Pete Beach often trade back and forth for the #1 spot on national rankings. And pretty much wherever you are in St. Pete, you're 15 minutes from the beach. Beaches here are gorgeous, clean, friendly, and usually surrounded by a bunch of cool, fun shops, from cafe shops to, whatever, you name it, it's there. My personal favorite beach here is Fort DeSoto Beach. It's a private beach, so you have to pay a $5 parking fee, but I have a dog, her name is Lily, and they have a dog-friendly beach section in Fort DeSoto. So I'll take Lily out there with my girlfriend and we'll let her run around in the dog park and then take her out to the dog beach. And when I say dog beach, it's not 50 feet of sand, it's hundreds and hundreds of feet of, gorgeous beachfront that dogs can free roam and explore. It's a really cool place to be. The sixth thing to be aware of before moving to St. Pete is all the events that we have here. It feels like every week there's something new going on, from cultural events to outdoor events to music festivals or, farmers markets. There's this amazing Saturday morning market that I go to regularly here with a bunch of local artists, small shops. You can get your bougie, fresh from farm tomatoes there. There's a bunch of gorgeous parks here by the pier that they're constantly doing concerts at and festivals at. Recently, I've started going to one of our theaters that we have here called the Mahaffey, which is right by the Dolly Museum of Art. And at the Mahaffey, they do screenings from the Florida Orchestra, or not screenings, performances from the Florida Orchestra. There's just no shortage of things to do if you move to St. Petersburg. If you want a more detailed list, just reach out and I'll send you some of my favorites. But definitely no shortage of fun activities, from free outdoor activities like kayaking with dolphins and manatees to paid activities like concerts. There's something for you to do. The seventh thing to be aware of before you move to St. Pete is how convenient St. Pete is located compared to some of our other surrounding cities. And this is a consideration I don't hear talked about often, but it's one of the things I have loved about being in St. Petersburg and something I often hear from clients who have moved out of state and then bought a home with us here in St. Petersburg. And that's our proximity to all of these other cities around us. So here in St. Pete, we take up most of our peninsula, but on our western part of our peninsula is Clearwater. And Clearwater has its whole own vibrant downtown scene, its own gorgeous beaches, its own amazing restaurants and shops, and it's just a short drive across the peninsula. So living in St. Pete, you can benefit from Clearwater. You can also go east to Tampa, which again, world-class food, world-class museums, big stadiums. You can go see the Bucks play. We went to an Ed Sheeran concert in Tampa. That was a blast. So you have access to Tampa to the east, you have access to Clearwater to the west, and then you can go south over the bridge into Bradenton and Sarasota, which also has just their whole own abundance of things to do, gorgeous beaches and amazing exhibitions. So my personal favorite going south actually is the Ringling Museum. Definitely worth a trip if you're coming down. So that's the 7 things that I think you should know about moving to St. Petersburg before you do. I probably could have made a video called 100 things to know about St. Pete. I could have probably made this video hours and hours long. So if you want to talk about it more, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out, and I'm more than happy to help in any way I can. So whether you're dreaming of a beachside life or a bustling downtown, stick around. We'll have more tips, tricks, and things to know about St. Petersburg coming soon. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and reach out if we can be of service to you. Have a great day.